Hi, friends. Today we're looking at the Book of Daniel lecture, part number 1, and the year is 2024. I'm your old pal, Papa Dale, and this is the Jan Hus Institute of Biblical Studies. It's the Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Literature degree program. Because there are always new viewers, I'll introduce myself briefly. I'm a retired pastor, teacher, theologian, and professor with over 50 years of service to the Lord Jesus Christ. My name is Dale Warren, and professionally I'm known in my writing, teaching, and lectures as D.A. Warren, but my friends just all call me Papa Dale, so you can call me Papa Dale too. Now you can see the details of my personal testimony, family life, education, and ministry experience on other videos on this playlist. So for now, let's get right into today's topic, which is the Daniel lecture, part number 2 for the Jan Hus Institute of Biblical Studies. The book of Daniel stands as a compelling and intricate piece of literature within the Hebrew Bible. It's distinguished by a unique blend of narrative and apocalyptic elements. It comprises 2 distinct sections. The first half consists of stories that recount the experiences of Daniel and his companions in the royal courts of Babylon, showcasing their unwavering faith and a challenging cultural landscape. The second half shifts to a series of apocalyptic visions, laden with symbolism and prophetic insights, which not only reflect the historical realities of the Jewish diaspora, but also offer a profound commentary on divine sovereignty and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. By juxtapositioning these narrative and prophetic frameworks, Daniel serves as both a historical account and a theological exploration. This book invites readers to reflect deeply on the concept of faithfulness in the face of adversity. Now, the academic study of Daniel aims to explore the multifaceted themes present in the book, focusing on its historical context, its literary structure, and its theological implications. Central to this investigation is the examination of how Daniel navigates the tensions between his Jewish identity and the Babylonian culture that he lives in, as well as the challenges posed by imperial powers. This study will analyze key motifs such as the sovereignty of God, the nature of prophetic revelation, and the promise of future restoration for Israel. Additionally, it will delve into the role of the book of Daniel in shaping Jewish eschatological thought and its impact on early Christian theology, particularly in relationship to the understanding of messianism and the end times. Through this comprehensive analysis, this study seeks to illuminate the enduring relevance of Daniel's message for contemporary audiences, emphasizing its capacity to inspire resilience and hope amidst trials. So, the next thing that we typically look at is authorship. From an evangelical perspective, the authorship of the book of Daniel is traditionally attributed to Daniel himself. He is a Jewish prophet who lived during the Babylonian captivity. Evangelical scholars and theologians often support this view with various pieces of evidence. And those pieces of evidence would include 1. The self-identification. The book of Daniel includes numerous first-person references. For instance, in Daniel 7:1 states, "In the year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream." Such references suggest that the author is recounting his own experiences and visions. Subpoint 2 is historical accuracy. Evangelicals often point to the historical accuracy of the events described in the book as evidence of Daniel's authorship. The detailed accounts of Babylonian and Persian history, including specific kings and events, indicate that the author had first-hand knowledge or access to reliable historical records. Subpoint 3 is prophetic content. The book contains a significant amount of prophetic content, including predictions about future kingdoms and events. Evangelicals believe that Daniel, as a prophet, was uniquely positioned to receive and communicate these revelations, which are seen as divinely inspired. Subpoint number 4 is the Jesus affirmation. In the New Testament, Jesus references Daniel in Matthew 24:15, advising readers to consider the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel. Evangelical scholars often interpret this reference as an endorsement of Daniel's authorship and prophetic role. Subpoint number 5 under Daniel's authorship, early church and Jewish tradition. Now, early church fathers and Jewish traditions consistently attributed the authorship of the book to Daniel. This long-standing tradition is embraced by many evangelical theologians as a strong indication of authenticity. Subpoint number 6 is the linguistic evidence. Although portions of Daniel are written in Aramaic, which suggests a later date of composition, evangelical scholars argue that this language was appropriate for the time and reflects the bilingual nature of the Babylonian Empire, and this supports Daniel's position as a prominent figure within that context. In summary, then, from an evangelical point of view, the evidence supporting Daniel's authorship includes self-identification within the text, historical accuracy, prophetic content, references from Jesus, and historical tradition, all of which affirm the belief that Daniel himself wrote the book of Daniel under divine inspiration. Well, who exactly is Daniel? He's the central figure in the book of Daniel, and he's known for his faithfulness to God and his role as a prophet during the Babylonian exile. But here are a few key aspects that testify as to who Daniel was based on biblical, traditional, and historical sources. Under biblical sources, we see that Daniel was taken captive during the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem, which began in about 605 BC. He was likely part of the noble or royal family, as he was described as being of royal descent. See Daniel 1:3. Point number 2 is his education and service. Daniel, along with other men from Judah, was trained in the language and the literature of the Babylonians. He served in the royal court of King Nebuchadnezzar and subsequently in the courts of other Babylonian and Persian kings. See Daniel 1:4-6 and 2:48. Subpoint number 3, faithfulness. Daniel is portrayed as a devout follower of Yahweh, maintaining his Jewish dietary laws and praying regularly, even when facing persecution for doing so. See Daniel 1:8 and 6:10. His faithfulness is exemplified in episodes like his refusal to worship the golden statue set up by Nebuchadnezzar and his survival in the lion's den. See Daniel chapter 3 and chapter 6. Subpoint number 4, prophecies and visions. Daniel received several visions and prophecies about the future of nations, including the rise and fall of empires. His visions include the 4 beasts, the ram and the goat, see Daniel chapter 7 and 8, and the 70 weeks prophecy, see Daniel chapter 9. Subpoint number 5 is his role as a prophet. Daniel is referred to as a prophet in the Jewish tradition, and he's recognized as such in the Christian tradition as well. Matthew 24:15. There are traditional sources that tell us a bit about Daniel. The first subpoint here is the Jewish tradition. Daniel is traditionally viewed as a model of righteousness and a figure of wisdom. His story is included in both the Jewish Tanakh and the Christian Old Testament. Subpoint number 2 is veneration. In Jewish tradition, Daniel is revered as one of the great prophets, and his life is celebrated for its message of hope and resilience during a time of exile and oppression. Subpoint number 3 is Christian tradition. In Christianity, Daniel is often seen as a prefiguration of Christ due to his faithful suffering and prophetic insights, particularly his apocalyptic visions. And then we have historical sources attesting to who the person of Daniel was. Subpoint number 1, historical context. The events in the book of Daniel occurred during the Babylonian captivity. Now, historically, Babylon conquered Jerusalem, leading to the exile of many Jews, including Daniel, and the text reflects the cultural and political dynamics of that time. Subpoint number 2, historical kings. The book mentions several historical figures and events such as Nebuchadnezzar II, Belshazzar, and Darius the Mede. While some details are debated among historians, the broader historical context supports the narrative of the Babylonian exile. Subpoint number 3, archaeological evidence. Various archaeological finds, such as cuneiform tablets, provide context about Babylonian society, and this confirms certain historical details cited in the book of Daniel. In summary, Daniel from the Bible is depicted as a faithful servant of God, a prophet, a significant figure during the Babylonian exile, whose life and prophecies have continued to inspire and instruct faith communities throughout history. Another main point under the academic study of the book of Daniel is that of the archaeological historicity. From evangelical perspectives, the book of Daniel is often viewed as a historical text with prophetic significance. Several archaeological findings and historical references are considered as support for its authenticity and historicity. Pardon me. Subpoint number 1, under the archaeological historicity. This subpoint is titled The Babylonian Exile. Archaeological evidence supports the existence of the Babylonian Empire. It's indisputable that the Babylonian Empire did exist at this time frame, and this is central to the setting of the book of Daniel. Artifacts, such as inscriptions and tablets from Babylon, affirm the historical context of the exile of the Jewish people. Subpoint number 2, Nebuchadnezzar II. Various archaeological findings confirm the existence and the historical reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, the king prominently featured in Daniel. These findings include the ruins of the Hanging Gardens and the Ishtar Gate, which showcase the grandeur of his temple. Subpoint number 3 is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some of the Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in the mid-20th century, include portions of the Book of Daniel, affirming its existence and circulation at least by the time of the Second Temple period, further supporting its historical claim. Subpoint number 4, the historical predictive elements. The book of Daniel contains prophecies that some evangelicals interpret as being fulfilled in subsequent historical events, lending credibility to the author's historical context and accuracy. Subpoint number 5, the Lion's Den and the Fiery Furnace stories. These narratives reflect certain historical realities of the Babylonian and Persian empires, including their legal systems and the cultural practices which some evangelicals argue corroborate the historical reliability of the text. Subpoint number 6, external historical sources. References to Daniel and the Babylonian history can be found in the works of later historians, such as Josephus, which provides cross-references to the biblical account, supporting the notion of its historicity. And so overall, while some archaeological evidence does support aspects of the book of Daniel, debates on its authorship and the dating of certain parts of the text continue among scholars. Many evangelicals view these pieces of evidence as affirmations of the text's historical and prophetic significance. Among evangelicals, there is little debate. The book of Daniel is historical, and the author is the person of the prophet Daniel, and that's among evangelical scholars. Now, we also have non-archaeological historicity. From the evangelical and traditional perspective, several lines of non-archaeological evidence are considered to support the historicity of the book of Daniel. The first one we'll look at is that of textual consistency. Proponents argue that the internal consistency of the book of Daniel, including its themes, narrative style, and language, suggests that it is a unified work by one single historical figure rather than a compilation of disparate texts. Subpoint 2 is, the title is Prophetic Fulfillment. Many evangelicals believe that the prophecies in Daniel, such as those concerning the rise and fall of empires, for example, the Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, the Greek, and the Roman empires, that these prophecies exhibit a level of predictive accuracy that can only come from divine revelation. This fulfillment is seen as a testament to the book's authenticity. Subpoint number 3 is the historical context within the scripture. The book of Daniel is placed within the historical and theological narrative of the Old Testament, and this provides a connection with other biblical texts that reference it, such as Ezekiel and the Gospels. This intertextuality is viewed as reinforcing the historicity for the book of Daniel. Pardon me. Subpoint number 4, the testimony of early Jewish and Christian communities. Early Jewish and Christian communities accepted the book of Daniel as canonical and authoritative, reflecting a belief in its historical context and events. The inclusion in the Septuagint and recognition by church fathers also both bolster its historical standing. Pardon me, need a drink. Subpoint number 5, references in other biblical writings. The mention of Daniel in the New Testament, particularly in the Gospels, see Matthew 24:15, and references in Revelation, the book of the Revelation, suggests the significance and acceptance as a historical figure by early Christians for the person of Daniel. Subpoint number 6, the cultural impact and influence. The book of Daniel's themes of faithfulness amidst persecution resonate throughout Jewish and Christian history, reflecting the belief in its relevance and historical basis. The figure of Daniel has inspired countless sermons, teachings, and theological discussions. Subpoint number 7, literary style and genre. Supporters argue that the apocalyptic literature style of the book of Daniel serves to communicate genuine historical events with prophetic significance, suggesting that the author had a meaningful historical context for his writing. These non-archaeological evidences are foundational for evangelicals and traditionalists, affirming our view of the book of Daniel as a historically significant document reflective of Yahweh's revelation through a particular historical narrative and through a particular historical person, the person of Daniel. Well, the next main point that we look at is the historical setting. The book of Daniel is believed to have been written during a time of significant historical upheaval for the Jewish people. The historical setting can be outlined as follows. Subpoint 1, the Babylonian exile. The primary historical context of Daniel is the Babylonian exile, which began in, what's the date? Come on, what's the date? 586 BC, when Jerusalem was conquered by King Nebuchadnezzar II. Many elite individuals, including Daniel and his companions, were taken captive to Babylon. Subpoint number 2, under the historical setting, is the kings of Babylon. The narrative of the book of Daniel spans the reigns of several Babylonian kings, including Nebuchadnezzar, 605 to 562 BC, Belshazzar, a later Babylonian co-regent, and Darius the Mede, who is often associated with the Medo-Persian Empire following the fall of Babylon in 539 BC. Subpoint number 3 is cultural exchange. While in Babylon, Daniel and his compatriots were educated in the language and literature of the Chaldeans, reflecting a broader theme of cultural assimilation and the challenge of maintaining Jewish identity in a foreign land. Subpoint 4 is persecution and faithfulness. Daniel's experiences serve to illustrate the themes of faithfulness in the face of persecution, exemplified by his refusal to abandon Jewish dietary laws and his steadfast prayers despite royal decrees against them. Subpoint 5, apocalyptic literature. The latter chapters of Daniel, particularly chapters 7 through 12, reflect a shift towards apocalyptic literature. These were likely written during or after the Maccabean revolt of 168 through 165 BC, when Jews faced severe oppression under Antiochus IV, called Epiphanes, and this context may have inspired the prophetic visions and messages of hope for divine intervention. Now, evangelicals would disagree with that. What we've said here is that the later chapters of Daniel, 7 through 12, reflect a shift towards apocalyptic literature and were likely written during or after the Maccabean revolt. Evangelical scholars would disagree with that. We would say that the apocalyptic scenes of the Maccabean revolt were typological fulfillments or typological partial fulfillments of what Daniel prophesied in Daniel 7 through 12. Subpoint number 6, religious and political climate. The book of Daniel addresses the tension between the Jewish community and the dominant empires, emphasizing God's sovereignty over world events. It highlights the belief that God remains in control despite appearances of chaos and persecution. Overall, the historical setting of the book of Daniel is characterized by exile, cultural challenges, and a deep faith in God's providence, ultimately aiming to both challenge and encourage the Jewish people. So that was the historical setting. Now let's look at the cultural setting. The cultural setting for the writing of the book of Daniel encompasses several key aspects, reflecting both the Jewish experience in exile and the broader influence of surrounding civilizations. So cultural setting subpoint 1 is exile and diaspora. The backdrop of the Babylonian exile deeply influenced the Jewish people, creating a sense of loss and longing for their homeland. The need to maintain their cultural and religious identity became a paramount ideal in a foreign land. Subpoint number 2 under cultural context, the Babylonian culture. In Babylon, Jews were exposed to a rich and diverse culture characterized by advancements in literature, science, philosophy, and religion. The educational system included the study of the Babylonian language and literature, requiring Jews like Daniel to navigate and adapt to this culture while staying true to their faith. Subpoint number 3, religious pluralism. The Babylonian Empire was marked by religious diversity with a pantheon of gods and various cultic practices. The challenge was to maintain monotheistic worship of Yahweh amidst the pressure to conform to the dominant polytheistic culture. Subpoint number 4, court life and administration. Daniel's role in the Babylonian court illustrates the integration of foreign practices and governance. The book reflects the complexities of serving in a royal court while upholding Jewish beliefs. Daniel often found himself in situations where his faith conflicted with royal decrees, leading to significant moral and ethical dilemmas. Subpoint 5 is symbolism and imagery. The use of dreams, visions, and apocalyptic imagery in Daniel suggests a literary style that was prevalent in ancient Near Eastern cultures. Now, this style functioned both as a means of conveying divine revelation, as a way to inspire hope and resilience in the face of oppression. Subpoint number 6 is the influence of the Persian culture. Following the fall of Babylon to the Medo-Persian Empire, the cultural setting expanded to include Persian influences. The administrative systems, governance, and religious practices of the Persians now played a role in shaping the later chapters of the book. Subpoint number 7, resistance and hope. The cultural environment of oppression and persecution led to a strong emphasis on resistance against foreign domination and a hopeful expectation for divine deliverance. This is especially evident in the apocalyptic visions that speak to God's ultimate sovereignty and the hope for restoration. And so overall, the cultural setting for the writing of the book of Daniel is characterized by a struggle to maintain Jewish identity and faith amid foreign influences and challenges, while also reflecting the complexities of life in a diverse and often hostile environment. They had to navigate life, but they also desired to remain Jewish. And so this was a real challenge for them during the Babylonian exile. So, a main point next is that of purpose. Daniel serves several significant purposes, both for its original audience and for readers throughout history. The first subpoint under purpose is encouragement during exile. Written during the Babylonian exile and the subsequent Persian rule, the book provides comfort and hope to the Jewish people, assuring them that Yahweh is in control, despite their circumstances. Now, this was especially important as they faced persecution and displacement. Subpoint number 2 is the affirmation of faith. Daniel highlights the importance of remaining faithful to Yahweh in a foreign land. Through narratives of Daniel and his friends, such as the refusal to eat the king's food or bow to idols, the book emphasizes fidelity to God's commands and illustrates the blessings that come from steadfastness in faith. So purpose number 3 is that of prophetic revelations. The book contains visions and prophecies that demonstrate God's sovereignty over history and nations. By depicting the rise and fall of empires, Daniel reassures believers that Yahweh's ultimate plan will prevail, and that he will establish his kingdom. And subpoint number 4 under purpose, apocalyptic literature. Daniel is one of the earliest examples of apocalyptic literature, which addresses themes of eschatology, divine judgment, and of the end times. This genre encourages hope for the future, and reinforces the belief in Yahweh's ultimate justice. Subpoint 5 under purpose is moral and ethical guidance. The narratives in Daniel serve as moral exemplars, providing lessons in integrity, courage, and wisdom in the face of adversity. The book of Daniel encourages readers to discern right from wrong and to act with righteousness. Subpoint number 6 is the purpose of cultural engagement. Daniel's story shows how one can engage with a foreign culture without compromising one's beliefs. This serves as a guide for later generations on how to live faithfully in a pluralistic society. And boy, isn't that a needed thing today, in my day, 2024. Pardon me. And the last purpose that we will look at for now is number 7, identity and tradition. The book of Daniel helps to preserve and reinforce Jewish identity and tradition during a time of uncertainty, serving as a reminder of Jewish history, cultural values, and their covenant relationship with Yahweh. The covenant. It's all about the covenant. And so, in summary, the book of Daniel aims to provide hope, encouragement, and guidance to its readers, affirming God's sovereignty and inviting faithfulness in the midst of trials and uncertainties. So after the main point of purpose is the main point of themes. The book of Daniel features several key themes that are prominent throughout the text, and some of these overlap with purposes. But the first main theme that we look at is the sovereignty of Yahweh, our God. A central theme in Daniel is the absolute sovereignty of Yahweh over all kingdoms, over all rulers, over all divine pretenders, fake gods, and idols. The text consistently emphasizes that Yahweh is in control of history and the fate of nations. Another major and important point that has applicability in my day, 2024. Subpoint number 2 under themes is faithfulness and loyalty. The characters in Daniel, especially Daniel himself and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, exemplify faithfulness to God. Their refusal to conform to Babylonian culture highlights the importance of remaining loyal to one's beliefs and principles. Subpoint number 3 under purpose, or under themes rather, is that of courage in adversity. The narratives often showcase the courage of believers in the face of persecution and oppressive regimes. The story of Daniel in the lion's den and that of the fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is particularly illustrative of this theme. Subpoint number 4, dreams and interpretations. The ability to interpret dreams and visions is a significant theme. Daniel interprets King Nebuchadnezzar's dreams, which reveal divine truths about future events and the eventual establishment of God's eternal kingdom. It also kind of makes us hearken back to the story of Joseph, who is in the land of Egypt, also in exile, and he's in prison, and he has the ability given by the Holy Spirit to interpret dreams there, which leads him out of prison and into the service of Pharaoh. And so subpoint number 5 is that of apocalyptic visions. The latter chapters of Daniel contain apocalyptic visions that convey messages about the end times, divine judgment, and the hope of resurrection. And these themes underscore the belief in Yahweh's ultimate victory over evil. Subpoint 6 under themes is identity and community. Daniel explores the themes of Jewish identity and community, particularly how the Jewish people maintain their distinctiveness and faithfulness to Yahweh in a foreign land. The book serves to strengthen communal and cultural identity amidst exile. Subpoint number 7, divine rescue and deliverance. Throughout the book, Yahweh's ability to deliver his faithful followers from dire circumstances is a recurring theme, demonstrating his power and care for those who trust in him. Subpoint number 8, moral integrity. The emphasis on living a life of integrity and righteousness is evident as Daniel and his friends navigate the challenges of a hostile environment while upholding their values. Subpoint number 9 is that of judgment and justice. The book of Daniel discusses the themes of divine judgment, both for individuals and nations, suggesting that Yahweh will ultimately execute justice and righteousness on both individuals and nations. And now we come to the themes that work together to convey a message of hope, resilience, and the assurance that Yahweh remains active in the lives of those who faithfully seek him. Are you? Are you faithfully seeking him? I hope so. Now we come to a main theme of main characters. Daniel features several key characters, each playing an important role in the narrative, and here are the main ones. Of course, the first one is going to be Daniel. He's the central character. He is the Jewish exile in Babylon, known for his wisdom, his ability to interpret dreams, and his unwavering faith in Yahweh. He serves as an advisor to multiple kings. And main person or main character number 2 is Nebuchadnezzar. He is the Babylonian king who captures Jerusalem, takes Daniel and the others into exile, and he plays a significant role in the first half of the book, particularly through his dreams and fiery furnace incident. And main character number 3 is actually a trio, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Daniel's friends and fellow exiles is who these folks are. They are known for their refusal to worship the golden statue set up by Nebuchadnezzar, and this results in their miraculous deliverance from the fiery furnace. And subpoint number 4 under main characters is Belshazzar. The king of Babylon, who holds a feast and sees the writing on the wall, is Belshazzar. He's the very last king of Babylon. Daniel interprets this writing and foretells of the fall of Babylon. Main character number 5 is Darius the Mede, the ruler who takes over after Babylon falls. He throws Daniel into the lion's den for continuing to pray to God, but Daniel is miraculously saved. And so theme number 6, or rather main character number 6, is Gabriel. Now he is an angelic figure who appears as a messenger to Daniel, providing interpretations of his visions and conveying important revelations about the future. Now, another main character would be the collection of other Babylonian officials. Various administrations and advisors set traps for Daniel, and they are involved in the political dynamics of the Babylonian court. And so these characters collectively contribute to the themes of faith, integrity, and divine sovereignty throughout the book of Daniel. And so this has been your old pal Papa Dale. I've been your host. This is the year 2024, and the lecture you just watched is the Book of Daniel lecture, part 1 of 3 for the Jan Hus Institute of Biblical Studies. Now, greater insights leading to deeper relationship with Jesus await you, so please keep going. And please remember to read the printed notes and look up the scripture citations if you're studying for the degree, the Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Literature. You can find the notes in the video transcript or at the link below. And so, until the next video, this has been your old pal Papa Dale saying, I'm signing off for now, and I will be praying for you that you will be well and that you will be blessed.